All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're talking about the Philadelphia Eagles in tonight's video. I want to talk about OTAs and some of these young cats. We'll talk about that in just a minute here. Philadelphia is such an intriguing team to me. I'm a Green Bay Packers fan, but Philadelphia is one of these teams I'm super excited to just watch play live football, regular season football. I think at this point in the offseason, we're currently in OTAs, right? And I think a lot of people just like, for example, I'm a Packers fan, so I'm mainly paying attention to Packers OTAs. So I think by this point in the offseason, you kind of forget about some moves that certain teams have made. And, obviously when we're thinking about the Philadelphia Eagles offseason, you're thinking most recently to, like Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, your draft picks, Saquon Barkley. But what a lot of people forget about is Vic Fangio being your new DC and Kellen Moore being your new offensive coordinator. And, those two guys are going to change everything just completely. First off, I want to talk about the secondary in just a second here, because it is completely revamped, but it looks like it's just going to be, instead of a weakness for Philadelphia, I think it's going to be actually a strength. And really the big issue for Philly last year and their second half collapse was the passing defense. And to just be honest with you guys, it actually reminds me of when Kansas City lost in the conference championship a couple of years ago to the Cincinnati Bengals, and they kind of tweaked some moves. They tweaked their defensive back, their secondary room, and they got super young, and people were wondering all season, like, all right, we see the talent on the field, but is it enough for the Chiefs to win a Super Bowl? And it was. And now, the Kansas City Chiefs have a top 5 passing defense in the NFL. So real quick, before we get into it, if you guys enjoy it, hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. This is actually my second ever Eagles video ever. You guys supported our last one a few weeks ago. If we try and get this video to 250 likes, it would mean the absolute world to me. So once again, we'll circle back to the defense, specifically these rookies and OTA talks in just a second. But real quick, post-June 1st deadline is in a couple of days, or post-June cut candidates, trade candidates. I'm sure you guys are seeing it. I fully anticipate Philadelphia to make some type of move. I do, like wide receiver wise. I do just want to say real quickly, your offensive coordinator last year completely wrecked Jalen Hurts. I think it was just a predictable offense. Obviously, I'm not a defensive coordinator, a defensive player, NFL player by any means, but it was clear, the offense, the team just wasn't clicking as much as it was in the first half, right? And I think it just had a lot to do with the coordination, the play call, and I don't think they were properly utilizing offensive talent. We saw with Jalen Hurts statistics, he threw like 15 interceptions. I saw a projected stat for Jalen Hurts this upcoming season. It was 66.3 completion percentage, over 4,000 passing yards, 25 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 800 rushing yards, 11 touchdowns rushing. If Jalen Hurts puts up those numbers, Philadelphia is going to the Super Bowl. All right, I'll just say it here. Actually, you know what? It should make for a good NFC Championship game against my Green Bay Packers. We'll discover, who ends up winning it when it comes. But sorry, Lions fans, you guys are watching this. Anyways, we're getting off topic here. Paris Campbell is one of these players that's really interesting to me, because Philadelphia last year, outside of AJ Brown and Devontae Smith and Goddard, obviously your tight end, your fourth leading receiver was a running back. It was DeAndre Swift, and your fifth leading receiver was a running back, Kenneth Gainwell. So Paris Campbell's really interesting because he had a horrible year with New York last year, but New York Giants were a terrible team last year. Like in every single facet, the Giants sucked. In every offensive facet, the Giants sucked. 2 years ago, Paris Campbell had over 600 receiving yards, and it was with Matt Ryan as the quarterback over in Indianapolis. So I want more bodies. I know they've got a couple of young guys over there like Johnny Wilson. I know they've got some nice, intriguing young wide receivers, but I would like a solidified veteran. I saw a trade proposal. It was like Courtland Sutton to the Eagles. If the Eagles get Courtland Sutton, folks, they're probably just going to win the Super Bowl straight up. But I do think that Paris Campbell's going to add a lot. And I also think, obviously, Saquon Barkley is going to add a lot. Saquon, once again, very similar to the Paris Campbell talks last year. Just a bad year for Saquon. It was a bad year for their offense in general. Danny Dimes obviously ends up getting injured early on. Not that he was really helping their cause. But Saquon Barkley is one of these studs. He's 2 years removed from rushing 295 times for over 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns. I don't need to explain to you guys why Saquon Barkley was just a huge-ass move for Philadelphia. I do just want to say, I think he takes this offense to the next level. I think DeAndre Swift is a really good running back, and I think the Chicago Bears are going to love him. But I do just think Saquon Barkley is a game changer. He's the definition of a playmaker. I think he's a guy who can single-handedly win you football football games. When you pair them up with Kellen Moore, you pair them up with Jalen Hurts, your 2 wide receivers, your tight end, your 3 wide receivers. With that being said, I just think Saquon Barkley elevates this offense to just a completely different level. So we have some OTA talk here. Basically, this is from Elliott Shore Parks. You can follow him. I'll throw it up on the screen here. We saw today that Hurts had an okay day. Basically, the thing with the Eagles is they only have like limited days where, reporters can actually, see these types of things. I actually don't even think they can film it. But Hurts apparently had an okay, this is like verbatim from Elliott Shore Parks on Twitter. Hurts had an okay day. His accuracy on short passes was good. Hurts and AJ have been unguardable so far in the practices open to the media. His interception to Rodgers was a bad throw, and it seems he telegraphed. Basically, yada, yada, yada. Basically, Jalen Hurts is going to be perfectly fine. It's literally OTAs. Don't be concerned if he has a good day or if he has a bad day, and don't be too hyped if he has a good day. At the end of the day, it is Jalen Hurts, and it's just OTAs. And we've seen Jalen Hurts put up and perform when it matters the most. But what I wanted to bring up was their defensive back room, because one thing he followed it up in his article was the Eagles might be loaded at cornerback. Slay, Rodgers, Ringo, Mitchell, DeJean, Ricks, and Maddox can all be high-quality starters. That position being viewed as a weakness could change very quickly. So, once again, like Darius Slay's a freaking beast. CJ Gardner-Johnson wasn't there today. But CJ Gardner-Johnson's a player who is still, I don't need to explain to you Eagles fans, right? Detroit sucked because he got injured in the first month of the season, and he comes back for, I think it was week 18, and he played in their playoffs. But obviously when you get injured for an entirety of the season, the year is just kind of a wash, especially statistically. The dude's a ball hawk. I mean, he's one of the best safeties in the business of just, breaking up passes, getting interceptions, making plays. And that's just a huge-ass move in and of itself. Darius Slay, lockdown, Pro Bowl, all-pro type of dude as cornerback 1. Reed Blankenship's still there. I think we're kind of going to wait and see on James Bradberry. I wouldn't be surprised if he got cut. Hearing what we're hearing from OTAs, it wouldn't shock me in the slightest if Bradberry was cut. I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say. Let me know down below. I do like Avonte Maddox a lot. But Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, just to circle back to that whole Kansas City Chiefs thing, one of these two players is going to be a star. Like, one of these two players is a star cornerback in the NFL. I think it's, very easily could be both. But Quinyon Mitchell, I don't know, man. It's hard to watch Quinyon Mitchell's tape and think that this dude won't immediately be a productive piece. It actually kind of reminds me, it's like so different positionally, and it's so different. What I think he'll have in his rookie season, Quinyon Mitchell, essentially, to put it simply, is Brian Branch over in Detroit last year. A legitimate starter, above average stats, interceptions, tackles, pass breakups. Like, you get the gist. I think Brian Branch, I think Quinyon Mitchell will have a very similar season to Brian Branch. So my point is, with Darius Slay, Maddox, Mitchell, Cooper DeJean back there, maybe Bradberry, I don't have any concerns with the Eagles secondary, and that was the concern last year. They also made a whole bunch of other moves defensively, which we don't have time to talk about in today's video. But yeah, guys, let me know. Give me a record on paper for this Philadelphia Eagles team next season. Hit that like button, hit that sub button. Let me know if you guys want more Eagles content down below, and we'll see you soon.